Juro fidelidad de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que simboliza una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Can I speak Spanish? Absolutely not. But can I say random things that I don't understand? Alright, so before we start, remember you can see my reviews of episodes 11 and 12, which includes the Queens Everywhere episode, on the Patreon. And because you might have missed the last batch of Patreon reviews, let's get you caught up on what happened. Akira and Evie gave the best improv performances on this show as ladies of the twerk. Okay. And Vanjie sent Plastique home looking like Gay Bane. At the top of the current episode, Nina West is upset because she switched characters with Brooklyn for the last challenge, and Brooklyn ended up in the top. Nina West did not.
In this challenge, I worked really closely with her. She didn't even acknowledge the work that I helped her with.
The thing here is that if you want to play Hamburger Help-A-Ho in a competition, then that's your bad decision to be held responsible for and nobody else's. If I was on Drag Race, which would never happen, but if it did, my name would be Lauren Behold and I would bring mall drag back to the main stage. Anyway, if I was on Drag Race and someone asked me to help them and it was important for me that my help be acknowledged in front of the judges, do you know what I would do? I would make sure to clearly communicate that so the bitch knows to sing my praises in front of the host of the show, because you want to know something that does seem important.
She needs to learn how to work well with other people and shit, because what happened was they would tell us.
RuPaul strokes out, then brings in the pit crew featuring Delta Diamond to work.
You have impeccable timing.
No, just a really good sense of smell.
They consistently put the pit crew in the ugliest, most unflattering underwear in the world, and I think it's a multi-seasonal issue because I can't remember ever seeing the pit crew in a pair of underwear that didn't look frump-tastic. I'd also like to mention that we see Vanjie paired up with this stunning Asian gentleman that we don't see anymore, so I guess he finally got fed up with being stuffed in the world's worst briefs.
Wait, it's where we go? Hold on, Barry!
I realize I didn't explain what's happening. They're doing a mini-challenge, so that should take care of any questions that you have. During a mini-challenge, nothing has to make sense, and it seldom does. RuPaul tells the girls that this week they'll be performing in their own magic shows, and since Vanjie won the mini-challenge, she gets to choose the groups, and she picks all the black girls.
All right, so you're gonna play the race card.
It's literally the Crackers versus the Graham Crackers. Things are looking very separate, but I don't know if they're equal. I guess all we can hope is that these girls keep things civil, right? Alright, so they start working on their suches and so forths, and Silky comments on the way that Vanjie chose the groups.
They destined to motherfucking fail, and I live for it.
LOL. The next hilarious thing is RuPaul looking Sugarcane right in the eye and saying, "Now you haven't won any challenges."
Now, you haven't won any challenges.
Not yet.
How are you gonna make that happen?
Sugarcane is actually really funny when she's not trying, because the way she said, "not yet," that really tickled me. RuPaul then talks to Vanjie's group and asks them if they have any experience with magic.
Do any of you have experience with magic?
You know, I made some men disappear my day.
Joking about the murder of men? Hashtag I support it. We transition to the main stage where the girls meet up with a straight guy in a fun shirt to teach them how to do magic tricks.
Thank you, this is amazing. I love it.
Silky not only falls asleep, but is literally drowning in her own drool. It's super gross, but I don't blame her because the magic guy is super annoying and very not queer, and I don't like that.
Don't be so awkward.
He calls Brooklyn awkward, but this is the first time she's learning how to do this, and a great way to multiply that awkward energy is by telling someone to stop being awkward. What useless fucking advice. So, after the magic douche disappears, Vanjie's group talks about if they should organize their set more, and Akira fights against the idea of preparation.
I think it needs to be a little organized.
I think we should just be like we're casually talking and it's just like,
I think we just need some like transitions between our pieces.
It's strange because I'm actually on Evie's side. Shocking, I know. Improv is usually not that great even when it's done by professionals. Akira is not a professional and is still suggesting that they just wing it, which is stupid. Even more so unintelligent because the next day Akira is all down in the dumps and insecure about how her group is gonna perform, and you know what would have helped with that Miss Thing? A fucking script. RuPaul then comes out on the runway looking very good, but strange. I can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's the wig? In any case, RuPaul introduces the Magic Show Challenge, and first up is the Betty Whites.
Well, like they say in showbiz, no.
They had jokes like every 5 seconds, and the jokes were good, and they had planned out movements and blocking. Nina West really brought the whole thing together, but they all did great.
I'm a little proud woman in a big brown box. Oh.
Okay, so this was a huge revelation because while in a box, Sugarcane says, I'm a little brown woman in a big brown box. And first of all, little? And second of all, I thought Sugarcane was white. Apparently Sugarcane is not white. Work. Next up is Vanessa's group, which was very hard to watch, and who would have been able to guess that the group that didn't prep went out on stage and took a giant shit?
What's the? Yep, still work.
RuPaul's reaction was exactly how I watched their performance because I was so very uncomfortable. However, I was occasionally so uncomfortable that I laughed.
He has asthma.
Early onset asthma. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs an inhaler.
Type 2 diabetes.
Category is Caftan Realness. First up, the Reverend Dr. Silkline Gooch Peg Mirage. I just felt like saying words. Anyway, she looks fine. The caftan is pretty shit, to be honest. Evie Oddly looks great. She puts her hands behind her back and the judges gag. What? Here's a video of me doing the same exact shit. Can I win Drag Race? It looks like the requirements are being skinny, mean, and flexible, and I can do that. Akira looks fine. I just hate that it feels like she's worn this wig for literally every runway. However, it's a nice wig, so I get it. Vanjie looks okay. It's just not a runway look. Brooklyn's was super simple, but effective. Sugarcane had a reveal that made me audibly go, ugh. Then she had another reveal that made me make the same noise. It was puzzling. And Nina West looks great. Now, if I looked at this for too long, I could find things that I don't like about it, but I like Nina, so I'm not gonna do that.
To make a long story short, I put a whole bag of jelly beans up my ass. The whole bag.
The judging was messy, and I loved it, so let's talk about it. Evie tells the judges that her group didn't want to plan and that everything that was scripted was mostly scripted by her.
Mama, I did not do improv.
Vanjie takes particular offense to this.
Wait, so I didn't write down what I was gonna say?
Earlier in the episode when they were planning out for the challenge, Vanjie, as the team leader, agreed with Evie that they should plan more, and so they did. Now, who did what is unknown, but Evie told the judges that Evie was the only one that wanted to plan, and that's a lie because we know for a fact that Vanjie also pushed the group to plan more.
You guys didn't plan as much as I did, girl.
I did plan.
I'm not gonna go through that.
How are you gonna sit there and say that to the judges knowing that's the particular critique that has been given to me?
Remember how I said I was on Evie's side earlier? Well, not anymore, because she's technically right, but she's using the fact that she's right as a way to throw her teammates under the bus, which is wrong. Because they were all terrible, one, so being like, I know we were all bad, but I was the only one that was a little good, is like, girl.
Like, whatever critiques you guys say, I do listen. That's why I went a different route with just writing it down.
Then Vanjie starts crying, trying to explain to the judges that she did try to plan more, and I hate seeing this because Vanjie does not deserve it. Vanjie literally made up with Evie in the last episode just to have Evie pull this same bullshit that she always does because she sucks, dude. I want to be clear that I don't think Evie is a bad person. She just reminds me of a lot of bad people that I have known in real life, and if it looks like a bitch, walks like a bitch, and sounds like a bitch, then it might just be a fucking bitch. Guess what we're about to do? Talk about Untucked, and then we'll come back for the lip sync. So the girls a hee hee ha ha, a kiki ka ka about random shit, then they finally address the elephant in the room, Evie.
I literally put in a lot of work last minute.
Evie's position is that they did awful, so she's trying to save some face by taking credit for everything that she possibly can. She says, I wrote a lot of the flow, I wrote the intro, I came up with the exit off the top of my head, but if you ask me, I wouldn't be taking credit for a hot turd. The performance as a whole was dog shit, and actually the only thing that the judges ended up liking was Silky and Akira's performances, and they didn't plan anything out, so that's funny. So Evie trying to take credit for most of the performance that was written out that the judges hated makes zero sense. All Evie is doing is letting us know that she's bad at improv, bad at writing scripts, and bad at committing those scripts to memory. In essence, Evie is trying to argue that she did really bad, but she deserves credit for trying really hard, and that's so funny, because I know if anybody else was in Evelyn's position and said that same shit, she would be piping up with some bullshit out the side of her neck. It's just really funny to see Evie in the same position that other girls have been in, where she decided to drag them for no fucking reason and kick them when they're down. And the difference here is that Evie being in the bottom and doing terribly this week, nobody uses this as an opportunity to dog on her, pile on her. That's something that exclusively Evelyn does on this show several times. I honestly hate Evie so much on this show, and she's so fucking wrong almost 100% of the time that I'm desperate to meet her in real life. I am desperate to be in the same room as Evelyn Audley so I can ask her what was cut out, because clearly I don't want to believe that any one person can harbor this much negative energy. I know that's rich coming from the likes of me, but like negative recognizes negative. But I just don't like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense, right? That someone could be so awful. But then at the same time, like, I'm not the only one that's seeing it. The other girls on the show in the room are also seeing it. So like, clearly it's not all the editing. I don't know. I just feel like there is another story here that's not being told. Because if not, then we just have to contend with the fact that Evie Oddly is just like a bitch. Anyway, then Nina West explains to Evie like she's a fucking toddler why her actions are annoying.
You're making them feel some kind of way by trying to prove the point that you did write the intro and the conclusion.
That's basically it in a nutshell. When your team is going down and you go, well, I tried really hard and I was the only one, that's rude. It's stupid and it's insecure. It's what insecure bitches do, and insecure bitches are ugly. I want to do a pivot to another subject because they will out a video from Brooklyn's mother and it pissed me the f off.
God has accepted me where I'm at. My Heavenly Father never turns his back and walks away from me, and I was not going to turn my back and walk away from my son.
Brooklyn's mom talks about the relationship she has with Brooklyn and how it wasn't always perfect. And then she gives this whole God loves sinners so I can love my gay child thing. And basically what she ends up saying in a nutshell is she thinks being gay is a sin, but she can tolerate it just the way that God tolerates sinners, by sending them to hell for eternity. I kind of feel like God doesn't tolerate sinners, so using God as an example of tolerance is kind of like, I don't know, a perfectly Christian thing to do, honestly. I'm not trying to offend anybody that might be religious, so if anything I just said offended you, then pray for me and tell your God I know not what I do. And while you're at it, could you ask God if he's gonna do anything about all these genocides? I wanna ask Brooklyn's mom why her God is more concerned with the dicks I put up my butt than all the children being blown up day and night. Alrighty, well, I bet you didn't expect me to get so real, did you? Well, let's crank up the artifice and go back to the main episode. RuPaul tells us that Vanjie and Sugar Cane are in the bottom, and I couldn't disagree more. Not that I want to see more Sugar Cane, but Sugar did way better than Vanjie in the challenge, and so they could have picked anybody else from Vanjie's team since they were horrible, and that would have made a lot more sense. However, Sugar Cane's runway was awful, so putting her in the bottom for being ugly, it feels acceptable. They lip-sync to No More Drama by Mary J. Blige, and this was another not so great showing for Vanjie, which is crazy because I remember her lip-syncs being good on this season, and boy have I not been right. So let's talk about why her lip-syncs have been so bad. First of all, I think it's the way she painted her face at the time, because her face doesn't really move, like, at all, and it's off-putting. It makes me uncomfortable. She looks like an animatronic, and it's uncanny the way she's like doing all this bucking and stuff, and then just like completely stone-faced. The other issue with this lip sync, and pretty much all of Vanjie's lip syncs on this season, is she only half knows half of the words. If you go back to her other lip syncs this season, and the Queens Everywhere episode, which we're reviewing on the Patreon, she literally lip syncs like every other word, and oftentimes just like holds her mouth open without moving it. It's very strange. And on that note, fans often ask queens how they're able to learn the lip sync songs so fast, and the answer is most of them do not. If you pay attention to the lip syncs on any season, you'll realize that most of the girls only know some of the words because they don't give them enough time to learn the words. However, with that said, I usually have to catch the other girls slipping, and with Vanjie, it's very clear and very evident that she does not learn words to songs well. Also, I know the gays are gonna burn me at the stake, but Mary J. Blige cannot sing. It's okay if you like her music or like her voice. I don't, and I think this song specifically highlights just how average she is at making noises with her vocal cords. I truly have never understood how Mary J. Blige convinced an entire generation that she was a vocalist. That does not mean her music is bad, because it isn't. Her music is good. She just sounds bad all up and through her good music. And it's not even that she sounds bad, it's just like, I could close my eyes, throw a rock, and hit 15,000 people that sound better than her, that aren't famous, and you may think to yourself, well, you should sing something and show us how better you are than Mary. And like, I don't think that I have to be the world's greatest singer to be able to comment on the way that other people sound, because I may not be the world's greatest singer. My ears work though.
I also run a drag review show and don't do drag. So, this is kinda my thing.
Anyway, in terms of Sugar Cane, she looked awful, but she knew the words, and she moved her face, so I hate to say it, I hope I don't sound ridiculous, but she won this lip sync. I'm just as shocked to be saying that as I am to see Vanjie be not great in so many of the lip syncs this season. Anyway, RuPaul decides that Vanjie stays and Sugar Cane goes home, which feels right. However, this lip sync was a snooze fest to a song that I think will be playing in my personal hell whenever it is I get there. Back to the lip sync song. It's not even that I don't like the song, I just hate that it's being sung by someone who can't sing. I think I would like the song a lot more if it was sung by literally anybody else. I think more singers like Mary J should acknowledge the talent that they have with writing Production being on the other side of the microphone, not in front of the microphone. And it's just so crazy to me because I don't see anybody talking about it. I feel like I'm the only person in the entire world that hears Mary J. Blige and is like, this doesn't sound good. And they told me when I was in chorus class in like elementary school that like people being tone deaf is like rare. Like most people aren't tone deaf and like most people can sing. I don't know about that. It's the way that there are so many singers like Mary J. Blige who can't sing that well, and then people just never notice, never pick up on it, never say anything about it. It just never matters to them that the singers can't sing. Anyway, I have to end this video. That's a wrap on episode 10. Make sure to go to the Patreon to see my reviews of episodes 11 and 12, and let me know what you think. Did Vanjie win that lip sync, and where do babies come from?